If you're over 40, you've grown up in the gym being told that you absolutely, positively have to squat, bench and deadlift. But for a lot of over 40 guys, the big three often leaves them feeling beaten up and broken down rather than built up with sore elbows, knees, backs and hips. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 6 exercises to replace the big three that leave you strong, robust and injury-free and still able to make progress despite age. To start with, let's talk about why the big three even became popular in the first place. The history of strength coaching is that the early strength coaches were all ex-weightlifters or powerlifters. You know, guys who'd spent their entire lives working on the big three. Now, do you think that someone whose entire career had been built around 3 lifts might have a strong bias towards them? And further, do you think that those people might actually be built well to do them, further strengthening their bias and making them think that they're going to fit everybody? That's a lot like having to wear your coach's shoes just because they fit the coach. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to fit you. So the first step to pain-free progress and strength training over 40 is letting go of the dogma that the big three are even necessary. They're necessary if you're a powerlifter. For everyone else, we can find other alternatives. Now let's look at bench press first. If you're like a lot of guys over 40, it leaves you with sore shoulders and elbows and feeling really beaten up. I certainly get a lot of clients who come to me in the exact same situation. The first alternative we're going to look at is the dumbbell decline bench press. As a general rule for pressing, when you've got shoulder pain, the more vertical you press, the more problematic it can be for the joint. So shoulder pressing might be really painful. This might be okay because my arm is less vertical, but even better will be pressing in this decline position. This is going to feel really good for the shoulder. Now push-ups could be a great variation here, but we can't really load them effectively, and that's where the decline dumbbell bench press wins out. As a bonus, if you look at the direction the pec fibers contract in, they actually contract in this position here as if you were putting hands in someone's pockets in front of you. So the decline position is actually a really strong position to train in. If you don't have a decline bench available, simply put your feet on the bench, lift your hips up so that you're in this decline bench position. And if you want to turn this into an even safer version, do it on the floor so you're in this wrestler's bridge while in the decline position and doing a floor press. The position of the floor stops the elbow moving back too far and really prevents the shoulder going into a dangerous range of motion. This is a super safe option for everyone who wants to keep pressing. One of my recent new clients came in with shoulder pain like a lot of guys do. I immediately swapped him to the decline floor press option, shoulder pain gone in 2 weeks while still actually being able to train relatively heavy. But what about if you don't have shoulder pain and you'd like to keep it that way? What's the best pressing option for someone who's got healthy shoulders right now? If you've got healthy shoulders and you want to keep them that way, the standing double kettlebell press is a clear winner. The offset nature of the kettlebell allows you to keep loads lower while keeping stress on the muscles higher, meaning you beat the joints up less. And because it's done standing, not lying, it's got tremendous carryover to just about every athletic event you can think of. One tip about kettlebell pressing is that we want the forearm to stay vertical all the time, so the press mechanics are out and up, not straight up, as if you were doing a dumbbell or barbell press. As a final tip, keep the shoulders shrugged down. Allowing your shoulders to shrug up while pressing can cause damage in the AC joint. When you combine the shrugged down shoulders with some glute, ab, and leg tightness, you turn this simple looking shoulder press exercise into a full body strength exercise. So now we've covered pressing. What about the squat? What can we use to replace the barbell squat with to stay strong, injury-free, and robust for all of our athletic activities? Given that one of the biggest problems for people as they get older is core control while squatting, and poor core control leads to injuries, doesn't it make sense to pick a squat variation that forces high levels of core engagement? And that means the Zercher squat. Because the Zercher squat forces high levels of ab engagement, it means your spine is actually more protected than if you just put the bar on your back, because you're forced to use all those muscles to protect your spine while you're working. It's super easy to learn. You can use big loads, although there is a little bit of discomfort in the elbows that you need to get used to begin with. And as a bonus, if you overdo it in a set, it's also the simplest squat variation to bail out of. You simply open your arms up and the barbell falls away from you. But what if you don't want to use a barbell? What's the best way to train your legs hard without the bar? Research shows that an offset load leads to a higher amount of core engagement than if we were carrying the load bilaterally. So that means We find a unilateral exercise like the Bulgarian squat, and we want to put the load on one side of the body. So if you would normally use two 10 kilo kettlebells to do a Bulgarian squat, get a 20 kilo kettlebell and put it on the non-working side. But we also know from those same studies that putting the weight here enhances the core effect even more. So take your 20 kilo kettlebell, put it in the non-working arm, and do your Bulgarian squats in that position. You get an amazing amount of anti-rotation, trunk stability, hip stability, as well as overall full body engagement. And like the Zercher squat, this exercise is really easy to bail out of because it's a self-limiting exercise. The moment you start to lose control or posture, you're going to drop that weight. So it's really quite safe for you to work extremely hard with this exercise. Back in January of this year, I had some pretty major spinal surgery. I was only allowed to lift a maximum of 4 kilo at a time while doing my rehab. I took my 4 kilo weight, I did these offset unilateral Bulgarian squats, and it got my legs strong enough that I could climb two 6,000 meter mountains in Nepal only 4 months after spine surgery. And now that we've covered bench and squat, we have to do the deadlift. Surely you can't find anything that's going to be as useful as the king of all exercises. Look, you can't find another exercise that allows you to use the same kind of loads the deadlift does, but you can find exercises that allow you to stress the target muscles just as effectively with relatively light weights. And that's where the Romanian deadlift comes in. Now the RDL is going to only be about 80% of what your deadlift is. And that means a lot less wear and tear on your spine thanks to that change in leverage from the slightly different lift. And if you really want to light up your midsection while training legs at the same time, superset Zercher squats and RDLs on your next leg day. Now, the deadlift, Romanian deadlift, these are great exercises for training with a lot of weight and targeting the muscles we want, but what about if we want to target some speed and explosiveness at the same time? Those two exercises aren't great for that because they tend to move relatively slowly. And that's where the kettlebell swing comes in. And the kettlebell swing is ideal for people over 40 because the loads are relatively low and the speeds are relatively high, meaning we can train these essential type 2B fibers that are the ones we lose the most as we get older. And because the swing allows us to train a lot of reps in a relatively short period of time, we get some incidental grip and conditioning at the same time as we're building our posterior chain strength. I have a lot of clients over 6 foot, and reliably, at some point, these guys are going to find that conventional deadlifts start to give them problems. Once we strip away the deadlift completely, put them on a steady diet of Romanian deadlifts and swings, their back problems vanish almost instantly. Now, if you haven't noticed, for each of these exercises, there's been a kettlebell option in there. That alone should be a really strong hint as to what a great tool they can be for over 40s. As I said before, I had some major surgery issues only a few months ago, and the kettlebell has been a major part of my rehab, allowing me to rebuild strength and fitness really quickly. And if you want a full breakdown of the best kettlebell moves for over 40s, check out this video right here where I go over the 6 essential moves you need to stay strong, fit, and healthy.